rash proposal. It's going to be very expensive. We've never done such a thing. The likelihood of failure is high. That was a mistake. It's never going to happen. But 8 years and 2 months later, Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon and planted the American flag. And the moment he set foot on the moon in Houston, Texas, at NASA's Mission Control, there was a great cheer that went up. And the average age of those systems engineers in that room at that moment was 26. That means their average age when they heard that challenge was 18. And think about what they did to gain the knowledge and the skills. Think about the determination. Think about the inspiration, the great challenge that they overcome. We have such a challenge in front of us now. And we can meet it. How long will it take? Martin Luther King Jr. once said, how long? Not long. Because no lie can live forever. And we are facing an organized lie that is distracting us from an obligation that we should have as human beings, as Americans, for ourselves and not least on behalf of our children and their children. Because the day will come, not too many years from now, when that next generation will ask one of two questions as they make an assessment of the world that we leave to them. If they live in a world where the scientists' predictions are coming true, with deeper droughts and failing crops and governance failing in developing countries and hundreds of millions of climate refugees knocking on the door of the wealthier nations, and sea level rise and tropical diseases and melting ice caps and the trees just being decimated by beetles and fires and droughts and bigger floods and storms and all these things. If they live in such a world and feel, they would be well justified in looking back at us in our time and asking, what were you thinking? Didn't you know that every National Academy of Science of every major country in the world said urgently the time is now to act? That every professional scientific society in every field connected to the study of climate said you've got to act? That 97 to 98% of all of the climate scientists most actively publishing said you got to act? What was going on? Were you watching Dancing with the Stars? But if they live in a world that we bequeath to them that is filled with the sense of renewal and hope, if they live in a world where tens of millions of new jobs are emerging from the retrofit of buildings and the introduction of new levels of efficiency throughout this wasteful economy, building solar systems and wind systems and fast trains and smart grids and new efforts to become low carbon and more efficient that are even now in the labs. If they have hope in their hearts and look at their own children and feel that their prospects are going to be better still, then I want them to look back at us in our time and ask, how did you find the moral courage to rise up and solve a crisis that so many said was impossible? How did you find or regain the ability to steer by the stars toward values that will safeguard our future? Thank you. Well, wait. I just want to add one point. We have everything we need to choose that kind of future, with the possible exception of political will. But ladies and gentlemen, political will is a renewable resource. Thank you.